go ahead.
Okay. Welcome back to Happy to Fly. I'm your host Carson, and today we're going to be doing our first video live streaming. Today we're going to be tying some flies that I've been tying a few months now, and these flies have been producing a lot of fish over these couple months, early months. Probably from January. Hold on a second. Yeah, is that good? Okay, cool. So from January till now, pretty much these flies have been working from winter months to fall or to spring. Sorry, there we go. Okay. Should I change this? Okay. 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 Kind of like that. Okay. So these couple flies have been producing a lot of fish, mostly either stocked or wild trout. And I look at the streams over here. Usually we go to Spring Creek, but opener day we did go out and caught some fish on these flies too. So we're probably going to start off with the old handy mop fly, tan mop fly. So this is what it looks like. It's on a competition barbless hook, jig hook, and this is a 2.5 millimeter bead, or sorry, 2.8. So this fly does work on wild trout and both stock trout. This fly has helped me if there's heavy water or winds. So what it does is if you have a heavier fly, it comes through the wind better and it gets to the fish better too. And it helps you have connection throughout when you're doing your drift too. So I'm going to start off with a white 140 ultra thread, and we're going to use a 2.8 millimeter bead with a size 14 competition jig hook too. So we're going to take this. This is just what it looks like. So I'm going to take this guy off, and then got these flies on these mops online. I really can't find them at local shops or anything else like that. So okay, so we are going to start off just taking out our mop, getting our hooks, beads all together. Now, before we start, hold on a sec. So what we're going to do is that we're going to put on our slaughter bead. I'm just going to show you just a quick way of doing this. So right before, if I'm tying a lot of flies for a competition or anything else like that, I wouldn't be doing this, but I would have everything planned out, have all the beads and hooks all put together right before I tie them together. And then I have different type of weights, hooks, size hooks. Particularly, I don't like to go over size 12 or 10 unless if it's like a stone fly or a streamer. This is a size 14. This fly does attract a lot of predatory fish because it's a bigger type of fly. And also another thing too, why the tan mops have been working is because also of the sucker spawn. The sucker spawn kind of looks like has that cream color to it. You can search up some other things on how to make different types of sucker spawns, but preferably, actually, I like just the mop fly. It just imitates that sucker spawn a little bit, tad bit better. Also, with the tail of it, it makes it seems more realistic, which I think the fish like too. So we got the bead on, and we got the jig hook on. This is what it kind of looks like before we tie. And we're just going to get our 140 thread, and we're going to make just a couple wraps right behind the bead. So just like that. Then we're going to get our scissors, and then always have your fly tying scissors have them in cases to protect the nippers. There we go. Trying to make sure that they're really sharp. So what we're going to do is really, really easy, is that we're going to get our thread, and we're going to go all the way to the bend of the hook. And the bend of the hook is right before the bend of the actual hook of where you're going to hook the fish. So how I like to measure out how much mop I like to put on. Now, a lot of people like them longer, shorter. I like to tend to like it in the middle, because if you're fishing just like a wild stream or Where in competitions you're trying to catch quantity of fish over quality of fish. I mean, you can, of course, if you see a big fish, you might want to get it too. But why I like mine a tad bit shorter in that medium range is because the fish, if you have a longer tail, the fish will tend to nip at the tail, but actually don't take the fly. And that's how you result of losing fish. So what is going to happen is I'm going to measure it. So measure the length of the hook of tail. That's going to be a tail. So like it's about, I don't know, so it's going to look like that. And that's going to be a tail. That's how I like to do it. Depending on the size of the hook too. If the hook is bigger, then you have a bigger span, or you can have a bigger mop on there. So result of not losing fish too. But with the size 14, which I regularly use on our local streams over here, I'm just going to use about that much. And then I'm just going to cut off the tip. And here comes the really important part too. Now there's a lot of components here when you're tying the mop. So what happens is that sometimes I put on the mop, I'm just going to cut this a little bit shorter, but when I put on the mop, this is really important too, because the fish will literally eat this fly up, and they will literally tear the material off of your hook, and then unfortunately you can't use the hook anymore, or the fly anymore. So what I like to tend to do is to first, I'm going to wrap this mop on my hook 2 times. So what we're going to do is that we're just going to simply lay the mop on top of the hook. I'm going to have the mop a little bit toward me, because when you're wrapping, I'm a righty. So when I wrap, I'm going to wrap toward you, the camera, and it's going to balance out on top of the hook nicely. So it's going to kind of look like that. So I'm going to make about, I don't know, 4 wraps. Okay, so that's the tail. And then you're going to put your rest of the mop forward. But right before then, I'm going to rip off, if you rip off the material, I'm just going to put this right on top of the table here.
Carson, you had Noah join the stream. So
oh,
hi
cool.
to Noah.
Hi, Noah. Cool. Yeah, if you just leave any comments below, any questions at all, please ask. I'm just tying them up right now. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take off the material of the mop. And what I like to tend to do is get the main fibers, just the main 4 threads inside of the mop. I like to tend to do. And I'm just going to wrap my thread around those threads, and that's how you know that you secure your mop on there nicely. So just going to tie those on, make sure it's nice and tight. What I like to tend to do before I use the mop, I'm going to pull on the tail, just see, okay, that's nice and secure. I'm just going to look around, make sure it's nice. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. But then now I'm just going to get my wet finisher over here, and we're going to wet finish here. I'm going to make like about 5 wraps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. And when I get the hang of the wet finisher, it goes really fast too. But this is just overall great fly around these months, March and April. They do imitate over here the sucker spawn. I really like the tail on it, as I said before, and really realistic fly. And if you have more of a wild trout over there, this is totally going to be an awesome fly for this predatory fish too. And just a couple tips on fishing this fly is that you can either make a normal drift, or you can even just jig it a little bit, just like a streamer. And if you have like really still pocket water or anything else like that, or deep water, you can jig your fly in there, and then those fish will actually really attract, or this fly will attract this fish better too. So those are just a couple techniques on doing that, or tying them up. Okay, so now we are going to be tying more of a realistic fly. So this fly helps, or I don't know, it doesn't look like a blue-winged olive, but it does imitate it, and that's what the fish are after, or why they're after it. So this is just going to be a really basic fly here. Hold on a second. So we're going to use a size 16 firehole hook. So then you got that, and we're going to use a 2mm bead, 1 slot. It's not going to be a jig hook, it's just a normal shank hook, straight. So right now we are going to just get our bead here. And I said before too, before you ever get into fly tying, I like to tend to put the hooks and beads on there first. Okay, so we're gonna put the bead onto the hook. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we have it on here. Now this is typically a very small fly. I like size 16s overall that type of size. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change my thread here, and we're gonna go to a black 70 ultra thread here. Like around size 16 flies, I tend to want to use 70 thread. So I'm gonna put them on the bobbin, and then depending on how you put your thread through, I mean, I just suck on it. It's just really easy to use. When you get the hang of it, it goes really fast too. So what thread or what tip of materials we're going to use here is that we're going to be using, hold on a sec, Cope-Dillon fibers. Best fibers for making tails. So why I really like the Cope-Dillon fibers is that it's straight and it's strong. And when the fish bite on it, it won't rip them off or it won't bend them or break them off. The Cope-Dillon fibers really stand out in the water. That's just a couple of reasons why I like those. And then what we're going to use now is a black France fly material. So I think it's like a small size or a mini size. And hold on a second, I'm just trying to find this real quick. Okie dokie. Oh, no. Let me try to find these real quick. So what this black thread is imitating is the pupa or the mid stage of the fly. The black really stands out in the water, and for some reason I tried olive, I tried other colors, including white too, but they really tend to like that black color. And I think even in rainy conditions, even though it's a size 16 hook, the black will stand out. And even during dirty water, they really stand out. And the dubbing that I'll be using really stands out too. It's kind of more of a cream white type of color. It has some flash to it too. So what we're going to do, if I find this, so right now, I'm just going to do a diagram. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use green ultra thread French fly hook. There we go. So there we go. That's your stretch tubing, your green olive stretch tubing. And then that's just going to be for the body. So also you can use black too. As I said, black, I like to tend to use black too. And then with that, then I'm going to get the dubbing. And the dubbing, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Now you can blend dubbing with it. You could blend dubbing with some nice hairs here. This is a blend that I made personally. But this is rabbit fur. And I just blend it with some flash, orange flash. That could work too. You can use that. Or you could just go to your local shop and just get some normal dubbing here with some natural fibers here. I don't think all of it's natural. I think it's just material. But you can either use both, either a realistic look. I think the rabbit does make your fly a little bit more realistic. But also the material does well too. So now starting the fly, I'm just going to get my 70-aught thread, just to make a couple wraps right behind the hook, or the bead of the fly. We're going to cut off the tag. So now we are going to get our Cope-Dillon. So I'm just getting it straight out of the bag. Just going to show you how I do this. So it can be connected to your cardboard here. So that's just what it looks like. So what you do to take it off, I just simply just go get it. Well, you have to first see if you have a single fiber or feather. And what I like to do, so if it's going up, I like to go the opposite direction, just pull down. And there you go. There's your Cope-Dillon fibers. So, and even one feather will last you for quite a while and make quite a lot of flies out of that too. So what we're going to do is just get, I don't know, just a pinch of fibers. I tend to like to keep my amount of fibers like about 5 fibers. This is what it's going to look like. So we're going to get that. Cut that off. So now we're going to get a couple dealing fibers, and we're just going to lay it on top of the hook. I like to switch hands, as I said before. Also, I am also a righty, so I put it on my left hand. And then determining the length of your tail, I like to do the same thing as I did with the mop for the tail. I like to go determine the size of the hook, and that's going to be my tail. Switch it, and then I'm going to tie it right where I tied in my thread here. Just going to make a couple more wraps to make sure that's secure when I tie it in. And there you go. And then when that's that, then I just get the rest of the fibers that I'm not going to be using and cut them off. Okay. So your fly, your tail is added on. So now we're going to wrap our thread all the way toward the bend of the hook. There you go. Just about that size. And then to flare out the tails too, you could just pull them up. If you pinch them up, then those fibers are going to stand out a little bit more. So now the fun part. Now our stretch tubing. Now there's 3 different types. I think there's medium, big, and small, and micro, I think. Personally, I like the micro, but right now, for some reason, they really like the medium size now. Determining on the size, I don't know. Just depends. You just gotta try different sizes to see what works for you. I am going to determine the length of the hook with how much I'm going to put secure my stretch tubing on. So right now, from the bend of the hook, I'm going to wrap on the France fly or the stretch tubing material. Make sure you don't get the tail. Okay, there we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap our thread over the France fly material all the way up to the right behind the eye of the hook, or right behind the bead, I should say. There we go. And then just wrap all the way back. And that's, you're creating almost the body of the fly. Now, cool thing part about this tubing material is that you can still, it's see-through. So you're going to see your black thread, and that's going to stand out. That's going to kind of look like a bluing olive type of scenario. So when you secure your fly, I'm just going to wrap, you wrapped all the way back. Now you're just going to wrap all the way forward. Now what you're going to do is wrap your tubing around your fly, just like so. Now you're creating the body of the fly. So just make sure to stretch it hard, so it's not going to rip, except if you have micro, but medium is pretty hefty material. So you're just going to start working your way up right behind the eye of the hook. Leave some space because that's where you're going to do or wrap your dubbing around. And there you go. I just wrapped it on again, just like how I did before, near the bend of the hook, and just cut off the material. So now you got that glossy olive, blooming olive look. That's just gonna what the nymph is gonna look like. Okay, now the dubbing. So now either if you want to go natural, just go with the natural rabbit hair, or you're gonna go with the glossy, attractive pattern. Now in April, the fish are more active because around, I don't know, the 40s temperature, the temperature when it rises, the fish tend to want to come out because that's when the insects start hatching, and then fireflies emerge and emerge, and the fish will start being more active. Now, I'm just going to grab a little bit of this gloss material. So I just put the natural aside. I'm just going to use this shiny stuff right here. I think it's like ice dubbing, or not ice dubbing, something else. So what we're going to do is this is going to imitate the either the emerger or the legs of the fly. Just make it more kind of realistic look to it. And also with the flash with it, what's kind of cool is that it can be almost used as an attractive pattern too. So I'm just going to put this on. And when you're wrapping dubbing or you're dubbing noodle, I don't really like to use too much with the size 16. But when you're putting on the material, I tend to want to twist one way. So see, I'm doing that, but if I go the other way, then I'll start unwinding. So I just go one way. So I'm rolling my dubbing that way, and then now it's like kind of movable. Your dubbing's movable, and then I just like to move it all the way up to the fly, and I just make a couple reps with that. And if it's too much dubbing, then you could just either pick it off or anything else like that. So now you got that dubbing on. Now for the last part, now I get my finisher, and takes a little practice. But yeah, it's kind of, but once you get it, it's going to go really fast. And I like to go slow and steady on these smaller flies because it can unwind and anything else like that. And if you wanted to, you can get a dab of super glue or UV resin and you can secure that tie or that bond right there. And there you go. There's your olive France fly right there. As I said before, you can use it as just as a merger or just a regular nymph. This fly, I like to use it on a dry dropper, or I can use it on a greased leader technique. This is really good for that. Just a greased leader technique is just when you grease your siding material or your indicator, and you're laying it on top of the water, and your flies will get to the depth and down, and then basically your siding material is going to be your indicator. And if it hesitates, stops, or your side goes under, then that's how you know the fish or a rock or anything else like that took your fly. So awesome fly. I like to tend to use around the spring months. Remember, just olive, black. Those are probably my two best colors I like to tend to use on a size 16 hook. Size 18, I don't know. I mean, it's a little small. If you want to do more of a realistic look to it, you can do that. But 16 is probably my go-to size for that, or olive. So there's just another tip. So tan mop and olive France fly. So how are we doing on time?
We're almost done. Almost concluded up. We got about 5 people watching right now.
Oh, cool.
So that is awesome for our test. And do you want to tell people about your interview coming up on Tuesday?
Yeah. So Tuesday we're gonna be doing a YouTube live session with Joe Humphreys, and we're gonna be talking about conservation. We're gonna be fly tying his famous crest bug pattern. We're going to be doing it in central Pennsylvania, and he's going to explain why that fly works so well. And let's see what else we're going to talk about. Conservation with the water, just some basic techniques that he uses, or what technique he uses to catch his fish on our local streams over here near Spring Creek. And that's just going to be the meeting. And at the end of the meeting, we probably go check over questions, or about 20 minutes after the meeting, and we'll go check questions, ask any questions. He or I can answer them. And it's just going to be a fun time on the water. And it's going to be a good time or a good interview that we're going to be having. So that's what's happening on Tuesday, or this coming up Tuesday, the 20th April.
From
from 5 to 6 p.m. and it's going to be on our YouTube live. And then probably after 6 p.m. I'll probably ask questions. So
okay.
Yeah.
Tell everybody the thing.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up.
So this is our wrap up for our fly tying session. As I said before, tan mop. This is our tan mop, just to show you guys if the new people came in. So this is our tan mop. Remember, don't make it too big because the fish will just bite the tail and won't actually take the fly. That's just a big tip when you're fly fishing with mops. Don't forget to jig it or make a natural presentation.
Tell Noah to join you on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, definitely, Noah. If you're listening to me, definitely join us on Tuesday. We're inviting anybody to the meeting on our YouTube live video broadcast. We're inviting all youth fly fishing anglers. Veterans are going to be there, and other people are going to be there, schools and everything else like that. So it's going to be an awesome meeting or awesome interview that we're having on Tuesday, our live video broadcast. And just to sum up again, olive pattern here, and just a simple olive pattern that I tied, like basically just a France fly. Definitely used it during the spring months. The fish are definitely coming out and eating those natural patterns again. And definitely, you got to try these flies out. So is there any questions that anybody wants to ask? We're probably going to wrap this up for our first live broadcast. We're probably going to give it just a minute for you guys just to.
Noah would like you to send your
link.
We can ask more information about the friends fly from you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. On the chat or yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, just he'll text you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, other than that, thank you for watching. This is our conclusion for our first live stream broadcast. Other than that, stay fishy, and hope you catch a lot of fish on these couple flies I just tied, and talk to you later, guys. See ya.